Well, after a crazy-ass WrestleMania week, NXT Stand and Deliver 2 nights, a whole weekend full of wrestling, we're still going at it. We're here on the Debrief. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jose G. Next to me is the top chico, Rico El Glorioso, and we are here at Sportskeeda's The Debrief, the only show covering AEW and WWE NXT. With the Wednesday Night Wars completely done with and over, NXT moves to its new night, which feels like a brand new season, new intro, new set, new graphic, new champions across the board. Rico, man, what a week.
And it's still going. We still haven't had a chance to really take it all in because not only were we able to be here for the debrief with you guys, we have the pleasure of being at WrestleCon and at WrestleMania live in Tampa. And we had Monday Night Raw. And, of course, we had NXT yesterday. And we have AEW today. So we don't get a break until tomorrow where we can finally kind of like, okay, we've survived this amazing experience that was WrestleMania weekend, but I would not give it up for anything in the world because I had such a great time, especially with you, with Riccacino, with all of you guys, and thank you for all the support and the love that we've gotten for all the work that we've done at WrestleMania weekend. Thank you guys so much. But man, what a weekend. And still the amazing wrestling continues, Jose. But how are you doing? How are you recovering from what was an amazing WrestleMania weekend?
Man, it was an amazing WrestleMania weekend. But let me tell you, man, this whole thing that we did while we were over there, it was all a team effort. So I want to give a big thanks and a big shout out to the video team at Sportskeeda Wrestling. And also one of the main guys that helped us out during our weekend live reports from Raymond James Stadium, Kevin Callum.
What's up? What's up, dudes? Oh, man, it just doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It never stops. like I'm literally on this machine of wrestling. And you guys who are watching this know you're on the ride. You want to know what's going on. Even if you don't like what just happened, you still love wrestling and you root for it to be great, right? So you have to explain to those people in your life that don't know what this is, what this crowd behind me is. And they're like, how many nights in a row is it again? Like you have to keep telling them, like, listen, baby, just give me a couple more hours. so
that's exactly. It's like I have to explain myself. It's like, babe, I'm working.
This is work.
It's work. It's work.
When I'm screaming at a TV, why the hell are they doing that? You have to understand this is work. Yeah, it has been something else. And kudos to you guys. Great stuff all around. And if you haven't checked it out, we're dropping a lot of content from WrestleCon. Just right now, we just dropped an interview today with Matt Sydal. We have a beautiful interview with Victoria talking about her experience at the Royal Rumble. We talked to Bianca Belair the night after she stole the weekend at WrestleMania. That is all up now on our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel. Maybe if you guys like it enough, maybe we'll do a podcast channel as well. So let us know what you think. But we got AEW and NXT to cover, correct?
Absolutely, man. I'm coming off of a hot week. Man, let's open up with NXT because the new NXT champion addresses the NXT universe and sends a message to the entire locker room that if you want that championship, you best to come and get it. Man, I love me Karrion Kross. He's an attraction. His opening, the way that he talks, it sets the tone for the new season of NXT.
Bro, so metal, so rough. Like just like you mentioned it, like Triple H set up this whole new. It really does feel like a brand new NXT, brand new graphics, brand new intro. I love that the new emblem now with like the skull with the wings coming out of it. Like it all feels really metal. It feels very much Triple H, but it's good. It's a fresh look to it.
They're like Triple H's kids, man. They're Triple H's kids, right? He's the one who brought him in. It has his fingerprints all over it. Yeah.
Especially once we get to that moment that we'll talk about later on, because that was like the proudest Papa moment of like all time. But starting it off with a brand new NXT champion, Karrion Kross, Scarlett Bordeaux, looking as gorgeous as ever. He is setting the tone for this new season. If you want a shot at that title, you're gonna have to come guns blazing. The way he took out Finn Balor, who could possibly dethrone Karrion Kross at this point?
Man, it's a tough call, dude. Let me tell you, because I mean, Finn Balor, now that he's not NXT champ, what do you do with Finn Balor? Do you put him on SmackDown? Does he go up against the Tribal Chief? Is that what's going to be the next move? I would love to see this version of Finn Balor against the head of the table. I think
Balor,
it's not
NXT
a bad idea.
UK champion.
They sent him out. They sent him out
over there for a little bit. Yeah,
he gets to go back to Ireland for a little bit.
Let him be home for a little bit. Yeah,
he gets to have dinner with his parents on a Sunday, just now and then. Oh, that's worth it. Yeah, I'll go over there. Whatever. Yeah, exactly. As an Irish kid, I don't mind it. If he goes and just wins the Continental Championship, brings it back to Bray County. I'm down for it. I'm okay with that. That's just the part of me. But having him on Friday nights or Monday nights would be a pop-up. And this is the thing people always forget about with WWE is they have that ability. And I always said it, even when they had the Wednesday Night Wars, now it's a completely different thing. Sound off on this too, by the way. What do you think of NXT on Tuesdays? Did it change your pattern of viewing? Are you watching NXT maybe on a delay Wednesday afternoons right before AEW? I'm going to burn through, I'm going to zip through, fast forward through NXT, and then I still get my Wednesday Night Wars the way I want it. I saw a lot of people tweeting about that later this afternoon. I'm watching NXT in like an hour, and then I have AEW. And a lot of them seem to really like that experience. I want to know what people think. And no matter what, it seems like a good thing. This is better for fans. We said this last week. I'm not wrong about this. We all win. No, I don't care what some billionaires think at a company. God bless them. They gave us great shows. But, we all win right now. That we don't have to have this Wednesday night head-to-head conflict right now.
Oh, we get to enjoy it without having to try to watch both shows at the same time and have to split notes. Jose, you cover this, I'll cover this. And did you see that? Oh, I didn't see. It makes it so much easier for us, and we got to truly just enjoy both shows. And it was the perfect time to do it with what happened on Tuesday night. So
it really was a lot easier to digest the content on both shows because there was a lot of stuff that I liked about tonight's AEW that we'll get into later in the show. But before we continue, guys, we got to make sure we plug in Sportskeeda. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media here on Facebook, on Instagram. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button and make sure you smash the subscribe button as well and hit the notification bell so you never, ever miss a post or a live stream. And if you're watching us on Facebook, make sure you share tonight's show in your favorite wrestling group. Tag your friends in the comment section and also make sure you hit the notifications here to see first so you never, ever miss a post or a live stream as well. Going back to the show. But yeah, man, NXT, man, started off hot just with that address. But let's talk about the NXT Tag Team Championship match. MSK going up against Killian Dane and Drake Maverick, still rocking that horrible happy-go-lucky entrance music.
Oh, man.
Curry. Are we doing like Bullet Club intros? And then you come out and you're just like, hey, we're the Fun Time Weed Boys. And they got booed. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, they were playing the heels. Like, it's hard to really have a match against Drake Maverick and his whole story and how he's made it to where he is, especially with that happy-go-lucky entrance music that him and Killian Dane happen to still be using as their intro.
It's great music too. It wasn't good at first, but they've really figured it out as they went along.
It grows on you, but
they added that heavy metal to it, and it works.
Yeah. But it's just crazy.
It's like one of those weird YouTube covers. It's like when a metal band's like, "We're a metal band. We're gonna cover Lady Gaga," and you're just like, "Yeah, I'm on board with this." That's kind of what it felt like. Yeah,
it's like a pleasant surprise. But
yeah,
yeah, but really having MSK being essentially going against Drake Maverick, they were the heels, and the crowd went that way too. Like they were booing him. They were really attacking. Like you can't really support them when they're punching Drake Maverick in the face.
But we love Drake Maverick. A lot of back and forth, and MSK didn't go full blown heel. But if they went heel after this, I wouldn't be surprised by it. It wouldn't surprise me if organically they're
okay with that.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't think it's a shot at them. It's just a matter of we love these guys, and here you are. We love Killian Dane, and we're Drake Maverick, and this is almost like you're working a territory. This is with the crowd that comes to NXT. That has been loyal to NXT, sees you bringing these news guys. All right, you brought in the newsies. All right, and they zip through everyone and they go through the Dusty Cup, and here they are. And then you think, you know what, Dane and Drake, they've been busting their ass. How come they aren't getting it? But mind you, they took the pinfall tonight. They kept Killian Dane. They neutralized him. A lot of back and forth. They didn't get jobbed out. I think we're going to have more of Killian Dane versus MSK in the future.
Oh, yeah. The NXT crowd does not have a problem. I'm telling you how they feel. Mm-hmm. We've been part of that NXT crowd many, many times, and they will boo you, and they will boo you hard if they don't want you or if they don't like you at all. So let's see what direction MSK is going to go with this. It'll be interesting to see if they really do a heel turn with him. I don't know if it'll fit their persona because they're such, happy-go-lucky guys. They're very happy about each other, about life and positivity. Mm-hmm. So it'll be very hard to convince me of them being heels right now.
Especially with all the heel teams we have.
You can still plot against your enemies in a treehouse. You still get together with your boys like, oh no, we're cool, but they suck, and we need to figure out how much they're bad. Like, you could still go in that way. There's a way to do it, right? There's a way to do it. But I agree with you. The whole vibe of NXT this week was just like a weight was off the show's shoulders. There was no rushing. They did the picture-in-picture thing a little bit, or at least in teasing what was coming up. But there was no don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We got this coming up. It was definitely this is coming up, and you're gonna have a great time. We have a great main event, and you didn't feel that on the surface pressure. Am I wrong?
No, it's really this is what we have to offer. It's not why you should be watching this instead of something else. Focus on what you have. You have the talent. You showed it off later on. You have now this platform where you expect more people to be putting eyes on this product. You can build those storylines, and we got it. And when I started telling Jose, this is women NXT right now. Women NXT, because the women held it down on Tuesday.
Absolutely.
Especially with this next segment, because we have arguably the best women's roster out of everywhere, and we showed it, and they showcased, they put it on this pedestal for us to take in, and we all bowed to how great it is, because they even showed off on other tangents on how these women are ready, especially with one of our personal favorites, Mercedes Martinez. She is back, and she's going to be in that women's title scene, and she had a little Stewie Griffin versus Brian Griffin moment of the "Where's my money?" with the Robert Stone brand. But ultimately,
some good OJ,
dude. Those are some good scenes. When people say that NXT doesn't have the superstars and the entertainment stuff, those backstage scenes they do are short, quick, concise. And Robert Stone, give this guy a hand. He was built for this from Impact. He was built to be the goofy, complimenting side character. And when he came in and he wasn't wrestling, people were like, why are they having him? He's just seconding women and all these different things. I was like, he is running with this. The gloves with the diamonds on them. He has all the gimmicks. This is Memphis 80s to a T. He's doing all the cornet bits.
Great.
It works.
It's great. I love it. And I think that's especially even on the main roster on Raw and SmackDown, we don't have a character like that right now.
Mm-mm.
And I think we really need it, because Robert Stone he's a national treasure. The guy is a national treasure.
Hey, Nick Aldis is going to call you about that. Come on.
Sorry, Nick.
Come on, we're not going to burn all the territories here, Jose. We gotta but no, it was really, really fun. Mercedes Martinez rolls through the opponent here. Weird gear for her, by the way, with Jesse, with the zebra on one side, pink on the other. It was all right. No. But fun match, a tough opponent, but they still made Mercedes Martinez look like a monster. And she grabbed money from Stone, went right over to commentary and called out Io. And they had been teasing something between Io and her later on, and then just settled in the lane of Raquel Gonzalez and Io Shirai for TakeOver. Now it's Raquel and Mercedes. Whatever you want to say about Mercedes Martinez as the journeyman female performer, she's pulling it off. She's pulling off this role very, very well.
Yeah, we were talking about it, and it, as much as I would love to see her have a run with the NXT Women's Championship, right now it is Raquel's time. You don't want to shortchange her with the accomplishments that she's made. It's like Mercedes is going to be the Cassius Ohno of the women's division. She's going to be that standard bearer. You have to be able to put on a good match and cleanly defeat Mercedes if you're going to.
Don't you put that juju on her, Ricky Bobby? Why are you putting that juju on her, man? You know that Mercedes is a veteran.
The whole time, Jose was like, "No, I don't want that."
Because we know she's too good. but we knew Cassius Ohno. We knew Chris Hero was too good. And he could have had a run with the NXT Championship. Did they ever do it? No. They even made a secondary title. Did they ever give him a chance at the NXT North American Championship? No. But that just goes to show of how great of a talent that she is, because she sets that tone. She sets that standard. You have to be at least this good to even think about going after the NXT Women's Championship when you're going to have
this tall to ride the ride. You got to be. Here's the line.
And she's tall. Her and Raquel. So that's a really tall bar. And all the other women are really short. So,
that's another Clash of the Titans that I can't wait to see on NXT. It's going to be a great match.
Raquel versus Mercedes, money. Oh, I can't wait.
Ozzy's texting in here with a great one. We got to do some Talladega Nights throwbacks if you're bringing up that line there, Jose. He goes, Ricky Bobby said, if you're not first, you're last. You're last. All right. So there you go. We're just gonna throw a Puma in your 1996 Honda Civic there, Rico. That's what you have to deal with. I'm sorry.
But man, that would catch me off guard. Just like this title change out of nowhere. Where did this title change come from? Jose called it Kushida upsetting and becoming a new NXT Cruiserweight Champion, defeating Santos Escobar with
the right
call.
It was the right call.
Wow. Fresh off of losing to Pete Dunne, you're right. They were not going to do Kushida dirty. They put him on that platform where he deserves to be. Kushida is our NXT Cruiserweight Champion.
The undisputed Cruiserweight Champion by undisputed.
Man, what a move. And Kushida has deserved this type of accolade for a long, long time. I know a lot of New Japan fans that have followed him in NXT and have soured on NXT for the simple sake of give him what he deserves. Give him the big win. He lost to Gargano. He lost to these different people. He was the setup man to get somebody ready for a bigger feud many, many times, which showed his value. It showed that NXT wanted to not just have him lose, but lose at a pivotal time to prepare someone else. And I don't think that should be seen here. I think this was long-term. Let's make him the guy after TakeOver. Mm-hmm. Santos can take this loss now. Santos can accept this loss now. And also, it wasn't like a job. It was roll up, roll up, roll up, roll up, boom. And then you got caught. And it's just, that's what it is. And now I love that match so much. I want to see another Escobar Kushida match. And isn't that what it's supposed to be? Aren't you supposed to want to see what you just saw again in a new and exciting, different way? And Kushida is one of those guys. He's the time splitter. He's not one of those guys who's going to cut a fantastic promo. He'll cut the promo he needs to cut, and he'll wrestle a match that is way better than someone who can cut a better promo. This was fantastic. I loved it. It was the match of the night for me.
And Jordan Devlin, right away. And that's why I love how NXT did the storytelling here. Fresh off of the heels, Escobar was yelling at the ref, blaming him. And next thing you know, as Kushida is being looked at the trainer after the match, here comes Jordan Devlin like, oh, hey, that's a great little title you got there. Hey, yeah, you beat this guy that, just beat me. Hey, you know what? Just because he can climb up a ladder faster than me doesn't mean he's a better wrestler. But, maybe we can prove it, in me of who's a better wrestler. And it just like Stephen Chambers says, I would love to see a triple threat between Escobar, Devlin, and Kushida. Money.
See, this is where it's good. When we're just making fantasy booking matches like that fast. And
I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen. I wouldn't be surprised. And hands down, dude, Kushida, one of the best performers. And I think this was the right call, especially after his unbelievable match against Pete Dunne at TakeOver. Mm-hmm. Man, it would be another slap in the face if we would have gotten that loss. That's why when I saw, if you guys haven't checked out the Chris Jericho interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin, there is a small portion in that interview where he talks about how he became undisputed champion. He said that he was in a losing streak before he had that championship. And it was backstage where he's in catering and Vince is in catering at the same time. And he says, you know how the business is going down the toilet? We're putting the title on Jericho.
He said this over the shoulder of the Undertaker at catering.
Yep. Yes. So that made me think, and I'm like, so maybe this is the formula. You give a guy that's high profile a bunch of losses for like 8 weeks straight, and then all of a sudden we're going to make you champion. And that's what happened to Kushida.
Hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it, I guess.
It's WWE 101, man. It's WWE 101. You watch this every week. We're going to give you something. We're going to give you something here. We're going to give you something. Craig Backlund wants wants to bring this one. We got to get to this. The big debut. We knew this was teased for a long time. Formerly known as Taya Valkyrie, Frankie Monet
La
showed up.
Güera Loca. Makes
Yes,
her
La
debut
Güera
at
Loca.
La Güera. You got to roll that R, Kev.
You can't get that out of me, dude. You can't if James Espanto is in the chat, I can do it for him. I can get a Fernando. You give me a solid I can't. All right. There's way too much Irish in here. I don't have it in me. I can't pull the move off. All right. I work the match. I can work.
We're gonna work on it with you just the same way like she's been working on her Spanish, because her throwing down that Spanish in that the segment. We saw what Johnny Drip Drip can do in his rapping Spanish, but his wife, Taya, you can tell she put in that work.
Fluent. She's fluent.
Speaking Spanish and even dropping the cabrona out of nowhere with the crowd just pop like, oh.
I was surprised. I was surprised that the USA Network let that roll. There were some
real side turns where people
I was really surprised that the USA let that roll.
They didn't have a Spanish-speaking guy on the dump button.
Maybe they bleeped that on Telemundo though. You know what I mean? Like if it was probably NBC Universal family. So. We're keeping it in the NBC Universal family. Maybe. So, man, I thought this was a solid debut. Her just kind of like calling out the locker room, definitely saying she's there for the title and different things like that. And also, what a working dog! What a working dog! Knowing where to be. That dog knows how to find the camera.
That's a true professional right there, bro.
True professional.
That dog was on point. I like this. Again, another great asset to the women's division, but we have to give props to the moment. The 3 champions, the 3 daughters of NXT.
Loved it.
Coming out. Raquel Gonzalez, having Rhea come out, having Bianca, and then the timing, the visual was so freaking perfect. The picture of them in NXT as, coming up through the ranks. With them in the ring, each with the title, was such a great freaking moment. Triple H, hats off to you. Like, these ladies earned it, and you being their biggest proponent, it goes to show how much love and care you put into these girls and what that pays off, what the payoff is. All 3 of these ladies are now champions where they should be. Like, it was about them, and that was such an amazing moment. Just like you said, goosebumps, man. It's so good.
Oh, I completely agree, especially when so the whole promo started after Raquel Gonzalez is dropping everything. Then, Frankie comes out. Then after Frankie leaves, Rhea Ripley music, sounds off. And I'm like, holy shit.
Oh, man. Are they
going to face off? Like, what's going to happen here? But no, it was to give props to Raquel. Then Bianca's music hit. And, man, I got goosebumps. I got teary-eyed. I even texted you. Like,
what about that live response? They've added about. I said this with the takeovers that we covered last week. They've added about 80 more people. It seems like they've added a very significant amount of people, and they had live fans in the Capitol Wrestling Center for a long time, and they leaned on the virtual Thunderdome element. They still have both, all right. But they added enough people where now you're getting a real organic reaction. You're not just getting a few people and miking them, mixing it in. You're getting a real reaction. And this is WWE adapting. They didn't have to do what AEW did, where they're just like, they have an amphitheater. Let's try and get people 100 yards, 500 yards away from the stage in the ring. No, this is WWE. We're going to put up boards. We're going to figure out our own way. Now that plan is settling in. I don't know how they'll adapt to it. But when Bianca came out, I was like, smart move. Smart move. You could hear it when she came out, and it made a real difference. Real production element there.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact now that we're having this new era of these women that are on the forefront across all 3 brands. We have these 3 started in 2019, and now 2 years later, Raquel is women's champion on NXT, Bianca is on SmackDown, Rhea on Raw. I mean, this is like the new generation of the horsewomen.
Yeah. That's crazy to think about. Because you still have the horsewomen, and all of them have been uber successful. You have Sasha Banks is now on Disney Plus. Could almost transcend the business to something. Some people think that. Charlotte, whether people I know a lot of people hate her. She's top tier. She's already a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. Becky Lynch, big breakthrough superstar. Bayley is just like your go-to heel villain now, and no one ever thought she can make that jump. They're already made, and they're gonna do more things. They're Randy Orton. You have 4 female Randy Ortons, and that is not a put down to any of those ladies. That is raising their stock. Now you did these belt changes to make these women, and now they're all made. So when anyone rips on WWE and says they're not forward thinking, I was like, look what they did over WrestleMania weekend. I can see where you could say, oh, they didn't change the men's titles. They didn't change the Bobby Lashley's belt to Drew. And they didn't go with Daniel Bryan or Edge as the new Universal Champion. But the changes they did with the women are very forward thinking. I think that is very seeing what the younger audience wants, which is younger, female oriented, more diverse in the spectrum of gender. And they come to the audience with, we want to see the women first. And that's what they want. And they're listening to that segment of the audience and giving them something. And if you looked at social media this weekend, I think you would have seen that. Maybe not the bros, maybe not me and you. But I mean, if I bring my young niece and she says, I'm here for Bianca, I'm like, well, you're going to get a hell of a Bianca match tonight because I know she's going to be on the show.
I can't wait to get my goddaughter into wrestling because, like, just look what we saw. We got to see, you know, an Australian woman, a black woman, and a Mexican woman all holding titles at the same time in that ring. Like,
I love this hashtag. So we saw this before, Rico.
Yeah,
hashtag woman NXT. I saw that. I was like, I'm on board. Take it, ladies. If you can run the show, run the show. Nothing wrong with it.
And it's not just them. That's who we have as champions. So while we did have a match between Isaiah Swerve Scott and Leon Ruff, that feud is continuing. Still a great match. Both guys are highly competitive. But we had a 8-person intergender tag match where we saw 4 of the other great women in the NXT Women's Division in the NXT Women's
way. They're making that work. That gimmick, when they started it, I was like, I'm not on board with it. But when they brought in their backstage interviewer, Shanzi McKinsley, if I'm messing the name up, I'm sorry. They brought her in to the hand. Everyone has to put in their hand. I was like, that's such a that's the stupid thing you have to do when your like office makes you go to like some dumb work meeting. All right, everyone put their hands in for Sports Kita. And we're like, we all just want our free
Sports Kita.
Come on, Rico. Where were you on that?
I'm sorry. I'm just still. It just worked out so well for that entire group, especially with Johnny and Candice leading it. But we saw a little bit more from Indy Hartwell, really giving us, you know, that bit of character work that she's been working on. Of course, going up against.
I absolutely love Indy Hartwell, especially when she's getting carried away by Dexter Lumis, looking directly at the camera, and she's like,
the sitcom looking at the camera.
I got me a man.
Thumbs up and then going back.
I got me a man.
This match was so entertaining. It was so much better than it really needed to be.
Yeah.
And it's because of the way. Like, we know what we have with Dexter Lumis. We know what we have with Bronson Reed. We have, of course, the NXT Women Tag Team Champions of Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon, and how happy-go-lucky they are. Like, love the spot where Shotzi tells Bronson, like, use me as a weapon, where he picks her up and just press slams her to the outside onto the way in Ember Moon. Like, it was a lot more fun than it needed to be, and it was led by the way, between Indy just laying down and continuously, like, trying to be.
So you're saying that it shouldn't have been fun? Because I thought that was a hell of a fun main event.
Because when you see that, it's like, all right, it could go this way, where, you know, it's like Dexter Lumis in the history with Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory, which we saw. But we got to see more, like, from Indy Hartwell. We got to see, like, this little seed that they planted in the therapist's office, where she kept putting in those zingers every single time that they mentioned Dexter Lumis. Like, oh, he's a creep. He kidnapped him. I'd let him kidnap me. Like, all those little things.
I want to say that. That's so creepy.
And we got the payoff here, and it was perfect. It just added so much more to this match.
Like, I don't mind to be choked. What?
Let me know that the comments of one do not represent those.
But yeah, I just want to give props to everybody involved. I thought
no kink shaming. There's no kink shaming here in Rico. Rico, you have your fun.
No, of course not. Hey, at the end of the day, she got her man, and now what she wanted, that's what she got.
She did more work by that look and those 5 seconds that she made at the camera. Looking over his shoulder. They did this brutal match with a bunch of comedy bits in it, right? And there were people that took real serious bombs. Gargano got in there and did some work. Candice did in the work. But Indy's job was not to get in there and wrestle. Her job was to be taken off as the damsel who's fallen in love with King Kong. who's fallen in love with the quiet monster, and then give the look of, I don't need you guys. This guy likes me. I like him. And this is weird, but it works. And that look she gave over his shoulder of like,
it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Yes.
When it works, there's no denying it. It isn't too complicated. It did verge on a little bit of too goofy for an 8-person tag match. But when you have those matches and you play off those dynamics, relationship dynamics, I think it's almost interesting in a way. Yeah, and it's like, really no, it's really interesting. And it's also NXT is able to take these risks that I don't think they would take if they were going head to head with AEW. We can be sports entertaining. We can have Robert Stone being goofed on backstage and lean into it. And we can have Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly yelling at each other while they're on stretchers in a hospital. All right.
So
that
good.
was 20 seconds to goal.
I'm gonna kill you, Kyle. You're dead.
You're dead, Kevin.
You're dead. You're a piece of shit.
Oh,
I can't move my neck. I'm in traction. But I'm gonna once I can move, I will destroy you. It was awesome. And this is an NXT with this complete weight off his shoulders. Everything in the show felt fun, felt progressive. Nothing felt like we weren't going to get something next week. We got something this week, and they got the hook in you. And it kept feeling like that every segment. I want to see more. I want to see more. I want to see more. And that's exactly what the show needed. This is perfect for NXT. It's perfect for WWE. Probably did a better job than Raw had this week coming off WrestleMania.
I agree. I completely agree. And let's talk a little bit about Austin Theory, though, because Austin Theory put on a hell of a performance with all the shots that he was getting to the midsection and getting the tsunami at the end, taking that deep L. But, dude, he just put on a performance for me because he just kept taking punishment and taking punishment and taking punishment. And when you thought he was done, nope, he's taking some more punishment. So my hat off to Austin Theory, because Austin Theory really took tons of punishment, and nobody really wants to acknowledge the fact that he sold the hell out of that eclipse.
Oh, the colossal eclipse. The eclipse off of the shoulders of one Bronson Reed. So good. And I was mentioning it to Jose, like, we saw Roderick Strong essentially put in his 2 weeks notice. We don't know, or his notice, basically, not 2 weeks. Not even going to get 2 weeks. We don't know what's going to be the future for Roderick Strong, but essentially, Austin Theory takes that place. Like, he takes that place of that one person that will sell amazingly to make you look good.
He's the Jey Uso. He's the Jey Uso of NXT. He's the right-hand man to Gargano, but you know he could be something bigger later on. Let's put him in this position, an honorary holding position. But now Roderick Strong, he played that role in the Undisputed Era. It's like, we can't have him be a champion, but let's put him in this team and it'll mean something. What do you do with Roddy Strong here? Solid episode of NXT, but he's one of those guys where I want to know what happens with him. Does he show up on Raw? Does he show up on SmackDown? What do you think, Jose?
It's hard for me to pinpoint, but if I would put him anywhere, I would probably want to put him on SmackDown, because I probably want to see him in the Intercontinental card range right around there. I would love to see him and Marina Shafir have an angle, probably against Apollo Crews, because he's the current Intercontinental champion. And it'll just be a complete swerve because nobody really sees it coming. But with him and Marina Shafir kind of having like this act of, I don't know, heelish kind of couple on SmackDown, I think it might work.
We do have a question here, Jay Mayo. Before we wrap up NXT, we do have AEW to cover here in just a little bit, I assume. Jay Mayo, my least favorite condiment. I'm not a fan of it. Jay says, can we talk about how good Frankie Monet's theme song was? So fire. A theme song is a pivotal part of any superstar's debut on television. The theme song is like the thing you can play after they're gone. You can play it whenever you want. What do you think of that theme song? It is hard. You got to nail that, and that's not even on you. That's really on the production or the element or the team that's putting you on TV.
It's already on my Spotify, bro. Just let's put it like that.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. There you go. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
It's already on my Spotify.
It was an instant like head shaker, and I got a big head, so it takes a lot to shake it. So
it's kind of like it's kind of like when Bianca Belair debuted, and then she bumped with hers, or even when Leo Rush debuted. Leo Rush's entrance is awesome too.
Against a wall. I never needed you at all. You just like shaking your finger at it. Once you start doing it with somebody's theme song, they got you. They got you. Look at you. You guys are swirling your non-existent hair braids. Like, I'm on board with it. The tracks are in. Are we jumping into AEW?
Go ahead, Jose.
Before we get into that, guys, make sure you guys hit that follow button. Share tonight's show in your favorite wrestling group. If you're watching us on Facebook, if you're watching us on Sportskeeda's YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up. Show us some love. And also on Facebook, give us the thumbs up, the heart emojis, the laugh emojis, the angry emojis.
Hit them
up. The more
I see the number that we're at right now, because we're live. And if you're watching on demand, you can hit it too. Even if you're not live with us. I think if we can hit 250 a show, that's a good number. And we can build from there. We got to work our way up that ladder. All right. And this is a thing that we can grow together. You're on board with this. Your comments are on screen. They mean something. We know your name, George, James, Espanto, Fernando. All right. See, I rolled the R there. All right. I know names, and your names mean something here. Ozzy's with us. I love the names. Let's get you on screen. You drive the conversation.
But man, if we want to talk about remix music or entrance themes, we got a little bit of a flavor when it comes to the current reigning and defending AEW tag team champions in the Young Bucks, because they came out with a brand new attitude, got a nice little video package at the beginning explaining why they did what they did last week, essentially turning on Jon Moxley and on Eddie Kingston, realigning themselves with Kenny Omega, Don Callis, and the Good Brothers. And they came out with brand new gear, no tassels. They got a little bit more, deeper rock feel than apparently the song that their dad created for their Super Kick party.
Less hairband, more punk rock.
Exactly. And they didn't have any of the Young Bucks when they actually do the pose and it comes out. It's just regular streamers. So they came out with a brand new attitude as they defended their titles against El Triángulo de la Muerte, Pac, and Rey Fénix, who, man, Phoenix... Yeah. Still the best. Like this is.
I can't roll the R's, Rico. I get it. I can't roll the R's.
We're gonna bring you along.
You gotta put that on the roof of your mouth, and you gotta just blow it.
It sounds like I'm trying to clear my throat. It doesn't sound like I'm trying to roll my R. I'm like a Chewbacca. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what I am.
Yeah, just bring it to the front of the mouth, and you'll get it down. But this was as entertaining of a match as you would expect between the Young Bucks and, of course, Pac and Phoenix. But we saw their heelish tendencies where we got to see the Young Bucks take off Rey Fénix's mask. And, of course, where that would have been a disqualification in Mexico, here it is still allowable. And they used the opportunity to get a double super kick on him, and they were able to retain their titles.
What a disrespectful thing to do. Respect. And I think it's so easy to play into, even for fans who don't know the lucha subculture. And for American fans, like, we know some of it and we don't know all of it, and we know that a hair versus mask is important. We know some of it.
DQ and AAA, that's a DQ, man.
It's a DQ. You go for the mask if that isn't a part of the rules. But wrestling fans of AEW, there is that sense of, tell me the rules. Tell me why this is important. Tell me why I'm a hardcore wrestling fan. If I don't know, let me know, and I'll believe you. And this is something where I'm like, oh, if they do tag titles versus mask at a pay-per-view, there's something there, man. And you're talking about, like, you don't take my mask
angle.
Yeah, it's a perfect angle. It sort of writes itself, and it does get the team away from, remember the old Young Bucks? No, they're disrespectful now. They're jerks now.
This is AEW. You know, they only give us a pay-per-view like once every 5 months.
Yeah.
So I would really like to see the ante upped on this one. So not only it's a mask for the titles, but mask versus hair for the titles.
Oh, man. Imagine the Young Bucks bald. Oof.
Yes.
Oof.
Yo, if they're going to change the look, if they're supposed to change the look, what about
just the mutton chops? Like, just not the full.
Oh no!
One of them is already halfway bald. I mean, so he might as well go ahead and just shave the damn thing.
Yeah, Rico, you're really carrying the weight here with the head of hair. So I mean, who are we to talk? You know.
But yeah, I agree with Jose. Like up the ante, but make it a lucha libre match. Kevin, you're talking about explaining the rules.
Yeah.
How many times have they gotten a little bit too lenient with how the tag team division works? Then they can actually introduce the difference between a lucha libre style match and a tag team match and a regular tag team match, because most of the time they forget who's tagged in anyway. But you can actually show off a bit of the culture, especially with the working relationship when we have the AAA mega champion Kenny Omega still here in AEW. Like, you might as well keep showing a little bit more of that culture, especially with the people that are not as familiar with the lucha libre style. So this will be a good feud to really start infusing a lot of that into this.
Completely agree, dude. Completely agree. The right way to go. You want to get the Young Bucks away from the old Young Bucks. This is the way to do it, because do you want to see Rey Fenix and Pentagon unmasked? No, you don't want to see it. And when it happens, everyone's like, oh, like there is that, like, if you want to see someone lose the mask, you don't like that character. You want to see them brought down a notch. No one wants to see that. The Bucks brought themselves down a notch by doing what they did last week. So this makes sense. I'm on board with it. The right way to go, the right team to elevate at the right time.
And I feel like it's also a good mix of what they used to be in New Japan, and they have a little bit of their new flair now, but they found a real good way to mix it, even with Nick, which was the one with the beard? Because I always forget. Matt looking like a young version of Shawn Michaels with his, little boy in a hat and cross the ring. Yeah. He knows what he was doing. He knows exactly what he was doing, and he could pull it off. I thought it looked great.
Yeah, man. And also doing the little nasty stuff. Nick with the low blow kick to Pac right at the end without the referee noticing. I mean, they jammed in a lot of details, and sometimes they, especially in the tag team matches on AEW, they tend to do that, and maybe some things get lost. This time it worked. It was just enough, and they just tied it off at the right time. And I was kind of questioning, why would you turn the Young Bucks now? This is too much of a thing to do at this time. But I'm on board. I don't mind being wrong if you can swerve me and do what you did this week.
Yeah. No, but I also think you make a point, because it was months ago. Remember that they supposedly had that heel turn that they had, and they, like, 2 weeks later, they turned back to face, which was a whole pointless. I thought it was just a waste of a storyline, to be honest, back then. But now with Don Callis and Bullet Club and the Elite kind of being reunited, this all makes sense now. You could really wrap yourself around this storyline right now, and it makes sense. They had to change the attitude, they had to change their appearance, and this is the way to do it.
Yeah, this is a much more believable heel version of the Young Bucks than what they try to pull off, just because they kind of had to, and you could tell they were booking themselves into being heels. This feels more natural. This feels like, all right, there's reasoning behind it, and it makes more sense, at least, than what they were trying to do beforehand. But speaking of, like, a heel that is believable, Jade Cargill comes out and destroys Red Velvet once again. I don't know why you would still keep attacking the same person if they just continuously beat you down every time you have a match with them. But man, Jade, they're building something with her. Like, they're really trying to build up the AEW Women's Division. She's going to be a contender once they get her over this feud with Red Velvet.
They want their own Goldberg. They want their own homegrown, made from zero to whatever the ceiling is. And it's her. And she has the look. She has the body. She took the opportunity. She cuts the right promos. At the same time, you can see where she's not. No one's going to say, oh, she's in line with that top stock that WWE has in terms of women, right? Or maybe even the people they have at AEW right now. But you can see it's rising fast, and she gets it, and she has that look. She passed the airport test, that turn your head look, and even if she wasn't cutting a promo on you, she could, and that's that potential is all there. God bless Red Velvet. You got your deal. You're there. There has to be some mechanics to make the cars run, but this is a Porsche, and its name is Jade Cargill.
Man, I was very critical of Jade Cargill right before she made her debut, because we really never saw anything from her. All we saw was her shooting a basketball vignettes with Shaq, and her running and just doing athletic stuff. Really didn't show me that she was a wrestler or a performer. But then she had that tag match with Shaq against Cody and and Red Velvet, and I was like, we got something here.
Yeah, she got
we really got something here. And over the last few matches, she just keeps getting better and better. And tonight's match against Red Velvet, she is a bona fide superstar. She's gonna be the next AEW Women's Champion. Mark my words.
And the thing is, she may not even be the best wrestler that they have, and that's not a rip at her. That's not a rip at her.
Have to be.
No, she doesn't have to be. She has to be this character, and that's the thing you see about AEW that a lot of AEW fans don't want to admit is they're still trying to play WWE a little bit different than WWE, where they don't have WWE's bad habits and tropes and all these different things, right? Whereas we're going to build up a star, we're going to keep them strong, and we're not going to relent until we have to relent on them. And that's what they're doing with Jade, and that's Red Velvet's role. Her role is to be valiant and cheer for me, and aren't I a cool wrestler, and I love you, and I respect you. And here comes Jade, who says, I am entitled to this because I look this way. And that's it. And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
And here's a really great comment from Steve Chambers. He's saying he likes to see Jade versus Thunder Rosa.
Would love that.
Would be a banger.
That would be great.
We're going to, and I think that is the moment that she becomes AEW Women's Champion, because I think they're going to really build, like we're already starting to see the storylines now of Shida. You know, she's going up against Ty Conti next week for the title, but more than likely, she's probably going to lose it to somebody like Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, who cut a promo with Tony Schiavone, and she broke down the women's rankings, because how many times do people actually pay attention to rankings? She just said, listen, this is my record, this is hers. She just lost. I should be number 2. And I'm going to continue to work on these numbers. Watch Dark Elevation, because you're going to continue to see my record go up, so that way she can eventually face off against Shida. Ultimately, I would see Shida losing to Britt losing it to Thunder Rosa, and when they're ready to pull that trigger on Jade, it's going to be against somebody as talented like Thunder Rosa. When she takes that title, it's like, Jade is for real. She is serious, because this women's division keeps getting even bigger and better, because we even saw later on the returning Chris Statlander, and she looks in phenomenal shape from coming off of the knee injury that she had last year. And defeating somebody that we have seen plenty of times, especially in Central Florida, in Amber Nova, who we also saw at WrestleCon too. So she's able to, easily beat Amber Nova, but it just goes to show Chris, again, another talented person in that women's division that's come ready to really perform as she's, made her recovery from injury. So the women's division they're slowly getting there. They're not NXT level, because we just ran down all of the great things that we just saw on Tuesday night, but they're working at it. They're putting it in the right direction. So I'm confident that AEW is going to get there eventually. It's just going to take a little bit more time. But when you're talking about people with athletic prowess, Anthony Ogogo, former boxing champion, made his in-ring debut defeating Cole Carter, poor guy, with a gut punch, with like a liver shot, essentially. So they're really building him up to be a brawler that could knock you out in one punch. So it's going to be, interesting to see how he continues to go, because we've heard for a long time he was the first person that was signed up to the Nightmare Factory. So being able to see how he's really progressed and how he shows off in the ring, that'll be something truly to watch out for. But man, we got to see
something though. Kevin and Rico, what kind of character are you going to build around Ogogo? I mean, is he just going to be a boxing gimmick wrestler like Mark Marrow, where he goes in and pulls in a bunch of combinations or knocks you out like a Mike Tyson type of character? What kind of character do you see Ogogo being besides this one liver punch to the body type of finisher?
Saitama.
I agree with you that this was more of an angle than a match. This was more of just like a physical introduction. This is a live vignette taping. This was show off how this guy can hit you really hard, because he's a championship boxer. He's legitimate. And they played up his legitimacy the entire time he was in there. And it was a handful of different things. None of his weaknesses got exposed. Like him having to run the ropes or do chain wrestling. None of that was shown off. And I'm not saying that he has those weaknesses. Maybe this guy can, roll with the best of them, and he's another Malenko. We don't know it. We didn't get to see it, but what we should need to see is that this guy can hit you really hard and hurt you. And he's a boxer. And you got to see that. So give it to them. They went the ECW way, highlight the strengths, low light the weaknesses, keep it light, and give it to Cole Carter. The guy had to go out there and do a job. I think I saw Cole Carter at AEW And this guy has a great body. You know, he went out there and did the job, did the JLB, and hopefully the check was nice for him at the end of the night.
Hopefully it was, especially trying to, even if you have to, gimmick it, but taking a punch from Anthony Ogogo, I'm sure still possibly not the best feeling in the world.
Hey, I know when you normally do this, you break people's jaws, but try not to crush my spleen if you
break a rib or something here. But one person that also had to get that direction was one former world heavyweight champion boxer, Iron Mike Tyson, made once again an appearance on AEW as he was a special ringside enforcer for the match between Chris Jericho and Dax Hardwood. Of course, playing it right down the middle, even though MJF tried to buy him off earlier in the night where he gave him a blank check, ripped it up, chewed it up, tried to spit in his face. It kind of just floated out. But
he even missed trying to catch the check.
Trying to catch the check.
Missed it the first time, and then he went the second time, and then he started ripping it 3 times before he put it in his mouth.
He's a little old. He's so entertaining to watch, though. That was still entertaining, knowing
he didn't not try. He did not try. I'll give him that. But also, like, who said, like, you know what works really good? Floating paper on camera in HD. Like, who didn't step in and said, you know what looks great when we only have 10 seconds with someone who is not a natural at finding the camera, and just knows how to be an athlete? Floating pieces of paper. It was, you could have just done it. They leaned way too much into it. It was something that was like, it's like when he fell asleep on camera, right? When they had him on the camera the first time. It's like, protect this guy. Don't let him be out there and not look like a monster,
Yeah, but he did get involved in this match, so he stayed awake this time, though. The good news is he stayed awake the entire match. He was standing, so I'm sure that helped. But of course, as you would expect with a match between a member of Inner Circle and the Pinnacle, they both started, both groups came out, started fighting on the middle of the stage. Cash Wheeler took this opportunity to use Floyd and was about to attack Chris Jericho until, once again, Mike Tyson got involved, where he, at first, intervened when Chris Jericho had a chair, and then intervened when Dax Hardwood had the bat. But this time, he got him involved once again, just knocking out, punching Cash Wheeler in the face. So if we thought Cole Carter had it bad, imagine trying to take a punch from Mike Tyson, who has had stunt work. He's done movies before, but I'm pretty sure it's still a little hard for him with all that power to really not hurt you if he makes any contact. So props to you, Cash Wheeler, for having to take that. But of course, this winds up leading Chris Jericho to hit Judas Effect on Dax Hardwood, getting the win. And Jericho announces that Iron Mike Tyson, is now an ancillary member of the Inner Circle. So now they have their second pseudo heavy if they ever happen to meet him.
Let me tell you guys something. The baby face turn is so hard for the Inner Circle. Just that interview with Alex Marvez. I mean, Jericho never leans on Alex Marvez and smiles to the camera. He's always spitting in his face and pushing him away. What are you guys digging this version of babyface Inner Circle?
He has to work harder for that, but it's to give the opportunity to my jerk off friend and his band of cronies, especially as they get closer to their blood and guts match. But yeah, you can tell Jericho, of course, is one of the best at what he does on the mic, so he can do it. But it's just so much easier for him to be a heel, and it's so much more natural. So yeah, It does kind of feel a little bit more forced when he was like, yeah, after everything that happened with the Pinnacle, I really started self-evaluating, and I had to make a call and apologize to people that I wronged before. And the first person I called was Mike Tyson. So of course, Mike said, "Yo, if you need me for anything, just call me and I'll be there." And like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna have this match. Like that just felt so forced and wasn't like natural for Chris Jericho.
Nothing gets you ready for a journey. Nothing gets you excited for a story than a little bit of backpedaling, right? Nothing makes you think like,
some retconning.
Wow,
just retcon a little bit.
Is everyone ready to have a great time at this party? Before we start drinking, everybody, let me apologize for how I've wronged you in the past.
Exactly.
And that I'll give Jericho for that, because you're trying not to insult the audience. You're trying to say like, hey, we know that we've been the villains, and now the cards have changed, right? You already did that. You already did it. The chore in that way has been done, and we're less than a month away from this blood and guts match, which we still don't know exactly what that gimmick is just yet. We have some idea, right? We have some idea.
So I feel that Jericho could have done that a better way. Like, I don't think he should have been able, he should have just divulged it like that. Like, well, we've done some wrongs and we wanted to rectify those wrongs. That's why he called Mike Tyson. I think if he would have had a conversation on the phone with Mike Tyson, with that being shot in the vignette, I think that would have been more than suffice as to them being like, oh, we're just trying to right some of our wrongs from our past. Like, nobody cares about that. We understand that, but now you have this Pinnacle faction that attacked you and you need backup, and the only way for you to get backup is to make amends with your enemy, who's Mike Tyson, as opposed to trying to wrong our rights.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work. I mean, like, think of how much, like, there's so much stretching in all these different directions with all these different players. Nothing we're talking about makes us say, wow, blood and guts, first weekend of May, it's going to be great. And all of it is this happened, and then you have to service this thing, and it felt clunky. It felt really clunky. It didn't feel smooth, and it feels hard to say that about Chris Jericho, because here he is trying to orchestrate all these different things while working a match. While working a match and trying to find the camera. It's very, very challenging. This, unfortunately, was one of the weaker parts of the show.
Yeah, it's crazy to think with all the other things that we've seen so far that, it's just not as natural. It feels a little bit more forced. But
there's no pleasure in saying that, but you're not dumb. We're not telling you what you don't already know, So, I mean, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But at least we got to cap things off with a TNT championship match, got turned into a Falls Count Anywhere match, because why not? So we can have more crazier spots. So we had Darby Allin defend his championship against Big Money Matt Hardy, and it played out how you would expect. Started off like a normal match, but it came down to the other storylines that everybody else is involved in, because we did have the Hardy family office come out and interfere, which did bring out, of course, the Dark Order to get them to interfere. Then we saw Lance Archer come out because he'd been confronting Sting, which, by the way, guys, we didn't have an in-ring promo or stage promo with Sting. Oh my gosh. You can do something else with him, like show up in this kind of a segment without having that do an interview to get interrupted by Team Taz.
Wait, Sting didn't just cut a cameo? He didn't cut a cameo video on national television? Is that what? No?
He finally did something else, just getting involved in this match, having Lance Archer come out and confront him, which, of course, now we're telling another story as Lance Archer is there. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, who have created this alliance, come out, but nope, you know what? We're not going to mess with Lance. Lance looks at Sting, and instead of them coming to blows, he shows what he can do against Sting by taking Isaiah Cassidy, hitting him with the blackout, which, of course, he winds up, taking out Mark Quinn also. Sting is still involved, hands Darby his bat, which then continues on with the match between Darby and Matt. And that's where the crazy stuff starts happening.
Oh, did you know that there were other people actually in the ring having a match during this thing?
Right?
Completely forgot about it. There were all
I wonder who booked this match, because there was like at least 15 bodies out there.
WCW, get it all on TV as fast as you can, man. And I get where they want to do that, and it's try and cram as much as you can into one show, because no matter what anyone wants to say, Dark, Elevation, the ancillary secondary shows, everyone knows Dynamite is their main platform. That's it.
Yeah.
And if you have Sting, are you going to put him on YouTube? No. And there's no shot at those people. You get a real rub by doing that. If you're new, if you're Cole Carter and you work that show, awesome, dude. You're coming up fast. If you're Sting, put me on national TV. A lot of pieces. You got to use them as much as you can, but it felt like the same thing as the Jericho match, where they're trying to cram as much as they can. A lot of stooges trying to get through the door at the same time.
But I got to ask you guys, how do you feel about this ending? Because they're building Darby Allin not only to be this kind of masochist, but somehow is superhuman, because not only did he take a twist of fate when he had his head wrapped around a chair and kicked out, he took a leg drop from Matt Hardy off of a ladder through a table and still kicked out. And then it came to Darby Allin hitting a coffin drop after climbing up a truss, but Matt Hardy can't kick out of that.
No.
Like at some point, I'm like, oh, this will be a really great way to subvert expectation if you had Matt Hardy somehow become champion, and you can do so much with it because now with the Hardy Family Office, with the Dark Order, because Hangman is now confused because he got interviewed by Alex Marvez about the Elite being together, and he didn't want to deal with that. There's so many little things you can do with that, but no, they're just building Darby Allin to be like inhuman.
Yeah.
This 150-pound young man is
Rico,
able to take
are you
all
not
of this
buying
damage.
Rico, are you not on board with that?
Oh, Super Darby? No, not at all. But he still winds up somehow making it happen, and he's still our TNT champion after all of that.
Jose, what about you? Are you on board with Super Darby, who doesn't
Matt Hardy should have been new TNT champion tonight, man.
Oh my god.
Matt Hardy.
Matt is look at this. I got some gray in my beard. Jose's got some gray in his beard. You can't drink like you used to when you were in your early 20s.
God no.
You can't have the WrestleMania you had. I can't have the WrestleMania I had in 2006. I can't pull that off. I can't.
That's true.
And
you make a valid point.
I can't throw the bumps back like I used to. All right.
Me neither. But listen, he put on a hell of. Dude, this was a Falls Count Anywhere match on the AEW Dynamite. He had some awesome spots just with the twist of fate alone through the chair.
Match.
That should have been
Don't kill anybody.
That should have been enough to put away Darby. If that would have been the finish, I would have been happy. But how the hell are you going to kick out of a twist of fate through a chair, which is a lot more devastating than a coffin drop through a table?
Yes, it's just a splash. He's just splashing. He's just splashing, basically. But that's still more devastating than that. And taking a leg drop, a signature Matt Hardy leg drop through a table, and Darby just nope. He pulled a Kyle O'Reilly essentially. Like nope, not done. Like, sir, you are 200 pounds soaking wet. If you, I don't even know if you can even get to 200 pounds at any point in your life. No, you should not be able to survive some of those moves that Matt Hardy put on you. But at least we're getting these open challenges. It would have been nice to be given that little curveball that we wouldn't have expected. Have Matt Hardy and the Hardy Family Office hold a title, especially something that was so near and dear to the Dark Order. Like, there is so much more storytelling that you can do with that, but we still have Darby. We have Baby Sting as our TNT champion still.
What did you think of this, Kevin?
Darby is over. I mean, I get where the nose selling. You guys aren't on board with Super Darby, but Darby, like I say, Darby is over. And is it right to put Matt Hardy at his age? This isn't a rip on age, because I'm someone who worries about those things just like myself, right? Am I too old to hang out with the kids, right? And I say no. Matt could have shook him tonight and won that title and done something. But Darby's red hot. The guy is still very over. He gets very big, loud reactions. People are on board. AEW is supposed to be the cool hit brand. You go there to do the business for the people. And very few people get to go to AEW outside of Chris Jericho and go walk up to the main event and get the prizes and the trophies. Matt Hardy, whether you like him or not, you thought, oh, he's coming over from WWE. You're going to put the title on. Even if he didn't have the issues that he's had in this run, which has been bumpy for him in AEW. Some misfires on creative and all these different things, injuries in a match that we can all visibly see, all those things. He still shouldn't be the guy who's taking those belts off a young lion. He should be the venerable veteran that people care about, that has more validity to him and can make somebody. Now, did he make Darby tonight? Possibly, but this felt like a pay-per-view match on free TV, which AEW doesn't mind doing because AEW doesn't have a pay-per-view every month. And I get what they were going for. Now, what this does for Matt Hardy's faction, I don't know. I really, really don't know what it does for his faction.
Yeah, but I gotta agree with Steven Chambers here, though. Like, this would be this is truly a pay-per-view level match if we get Darby Allin versus Lance Archer. Because if there's somebody that could arguably really defeat Darby Allin with the move that he can do, it should be Lance Archer. Like, even the Blackout should be able to put away Darby Allin. As much as he loves falling from big heights, that should be a height too big for him to recover from. I'd be down with the Darby versus Archer feud. It just looks like we're still gonna get Archer versus Sting first. So I guess he has to be his dad before he takes on the son for the title. But we'll see if we get that
before
eventually.
you fight my son, you must defeat me.
Yeah.
Yes, hoodies up, hoodies up, hoodies up. That's right. Put your hoodies up before you defeat my son. You must fight me.
That's what we're gonna get.
It was me.
Guys. Well, I just want to say thanks to everyone that's watched tonight and tuned in, enjoying our shenanigans here, having a good old time here on Sports Kiddo Wrestling. Remember to follow us on all of our social media platforms here on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. Make sure you also hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel and give us a big old thumbs up. And if you're watching this on the replay on both Facebook or YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up and share this video with your friends. Share it in your favorite wrestling group and tag your friends in the comments so they can join in on the conversation. Even we're not live, even if you're just watching it on the replay. So, guys, I want to thank Kev for joining us.
Thank you.
As always, I'm your host, Jose G. We'll be back next Wednesday for another edition of the Debrief, covering everything you need to know in the world of AEW and NXT. So with that being said, yes, Kev.
We got to let them know Dutch Mantel going to be on the Smack Talk this Friday night, right after SmackDown. Dutch Mantel, Dirty Dutch Mantel, had a fantastic episode with him last week. If you don't want to, I don't care about SmackDown before WrestleMania, go back. He tells us about someone getting fired right when they went through the curtain from a match in WWE. He told us about getting hired by WWE. He showed up in an arena at 10 a.m. He had a job from them before 7 o'clock. Great stuff. That stories, all of it, every single week. We have a fresh episode up with him now and a new one coming this Friday night. Wanted to get that in before we're done.
Oh, absolutely. And also make sure you check out the YouTube channel for all the exclusive content from WrestleCon and WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. We got some exclusive stuff that nobody else got. We were the only wrestling media doing live reporting from the stadium, guys. So I'm very proud of that. We couldn't have done this without you, Kevin, and the entire Sports Kiddo Wrestling team. Want to thank every single person that was involved in this because it was a great experience, and I don't think I'll ever forget it.
Yeah, it was something else, man. It was fun for me on my end. I know it was fun for you guys being there. Definitely a WrestleMania we were all waiting for. Whether it was the best WrestleMania or not, I think it's kind of outside of to be around that and feel that natural reaction. That had to be really special for you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for tonight's show. For Rico Glorioso and Kev, I'm Jose G. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good night.
Later, guys.